Good morning and welcome to part 2 of our Triptych Meditation series. Today we are celebrating the feast day of Saint Martha, and if you go to the lectionary 2020 online and scroll down to July 29th, you will find that this is her feast day. So I'd like to take a portion of the gospel for her day today, and it will be right there for you. So just simply let the words go through you, flow through you, and if there is a word or phrase that captures your attention, just focus on it and enjoy. Now, as they went on their way, Jesus entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to him and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." In this familiar gospel story, we meet up with Martha, and Martha is one of those very competent people. She knows how to get things done. It's Martha who prepares the house, cooks the food, offers hospitality. Martha is very action-oriented. Yet when it comes to handing out the accolades, it's her sister Mary who gets the words of affirmation. And in this story, we hear Jesus saying to Martha, "Martha, it is Mary who has chosen the better part." Martha does the work, and her sister gets the credit. Well, I don't know about you, but it seems to me that Martha gets a bad rap. Yet when we take a longer look at this gospel story, what we're going to find here is that Jesus is not so much criticizing Martha as that he is speaking out of concern for the well-being of her soul. And we can take a cue from this story. It is very relevant for us. Henry Nouwen talks about what it means for us to be action-oriented in his little book. I've just rediscovered it on my shelf a week or so ago. And the name of the book is Making All Things New, an Invitation into the Spiritual Life. So he points out in that book that our being active is a good thing, and that just as our minds are meant to think and our hearts are meant to feel, our human bodies are meant to be on the move. And that when we experience wholeness within ourselves, usually it is all parts of us, body, mind, and spirit, that are actively engaged. So the problem for us is not in being active, but the problem arises for us when we cross a boundary. Too much action on our part that pushes beyond its normal limitation, when that happens, action degenerates into distraction. And when we are distracted, we can often feel fragmented, just sort of out of sorts. And then if we mix in the ego's need to feel in control, mixed in with that fragmentation, well, often we have worry and anxiety that begin to take us over. And when we are in that place, we can be sure that we have fallen away from God's kingdom of love that is always there for us. So Henry Nouwen reminds us that Jesus is not calling us to be less active. After all, if we look at his life, we realize he was very active, always moving around, preaching and teaching, And that instead, that where Jesus is calling us is into noticing those times when we are distracted, anxious, worried. When we find ourselves there, in that place, we need to stop, just stop, pause, take a pause, and then ask God to move us back into a place where we are centered in God's love. Now, when we are centered in God's love, there's no mistaking that, because our activities, no matter what they are, magnify that love. And that, says Nouwen, is when we are doing what Jesus encourages us to do, we are seeking first the kingdom of God. So let's do a little St. Martha examine. I would ask you to just relax, settle yourself down. Feel that center of gravity dropping lower and lower and lower right into your center. And let's go back and find a time in your life, in your recent past, or whenever it was for you. Let's look for a concrete moment when you were fully engaged in an activity. Fully engaged, but still balanced and not at all fretful, just enjoying being engaged with that activity. Maybe you were working on a project or cooking a meal, weeding the garden, walking around the neighborhood, whatever it is. Maybe you were involved in a ministry doing something for another person. Just remember that time and relish it. Revisit it. See if you can find that feeling of love that was all around you and flowing inside you and out right in the midst of that activity. And as you identify that emotion for yourself, ask for an increase of kingdom involvement. Now let's go back again and find another moment, a time when you pushed yourself beyond the limit. You felt that sense of fretfulness. Your action was just a bit too much and it degenerated into distraction, worry. Revisit for a moment, push back to the root cause to ask yourself, what was driving this sense of distraction and frustration and fretfulness? Was there some ego involvement in it? Were you trying to prove your worth? Or were you simply too involved with too many things and your plate was full to overflowing? Identify for yourself what led to that point. And now revisiting that hard emotion, ask God for a healing. Ask God to show you the way back to the kingdom. And heading back into the kingdom, immerse yourself once again right into the heart of God's love. And so now, as you go about your active lives and until we meet again, may you be mindful of seeking God's kingdom, and may you notice that when you are right inside of God's kingdom, all these other things fall right into place.
Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Alleluia, alleluia, Seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Alleluia, alleluia, Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Alleluia.